In this tutorial, I'll show you how you can compare two categorical variables in Tableau with a side-by-side bar chart like this one here that is also conditional and a stack bar chart for the same data. Now, to make sure everybody's on the same page while starting, I've just reopened Tableau and I'll start from the beginning, uploading our data set. Because most of our data sets in this class are CSV files, we're going to use the text file upload. If you know for sure that your data set is saved as an XLSX file, you can use Microsoft Excel. In this case, I'm going to use the Oregon PUMS data, so I'm going to use the text file option. From here, I can upload my CSV data. I'm specifically using PUMS 2023 housing record data. Opening the data set, I'll start to see it pop up in Tableau. Now I'm going to go to the worksheet to create my first plot. Here on the left-hand side, I'll see all the variables that are in this data set. In Tableau, it's important to make a distinction between a categorical variable and a quantitative one. A categorical variable is going to be called a dimension. A quantitative variable will be called a measure. Now we know that in the Oregon PUMS data, a lot of the variables that are categorical are assigned as 1, 2, 3, and so on in order to save data. That means when we pull it over to Tableau, these are considered numerical or quantitative variables, but we know that's not the case. So, for instance, I'm going to look at the two variables access internet and tenure, which is denoted as 10. In order for me to easily use these, I need to drag them above the measures line into the dimensions area. So now I've grabbed access internet, and now Tableau is considering it a categorical variable. The next step is to find tenure. The easiest way to do this without dragging through all the variables is to search for it under 10. Now I can see that there's my tenure, and I could do the same thing where I tried to drag it above, but it might be a little bit funky. So instead, I'm going to use that little drop down in the button and go to convert to dimension. And now it pops up above the line, all in blue. If I clear my search or my filter, I'll notice that now I have my two variables in this dimension area rather than in the measures area. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table of counts for the access internet variable, dragging access internet over to rows, and then again down into the marks. In marks, I notice that nothing has really popped up yet. So instead, down here, I'm going to go down to measure and put this in as a count. Now again, nothing quite has happened yet. I can see that it's possible that something's about to happen, but it doesn't actually tell me what it is. So here I'm going to select text rather than that detail option. Now I can see a table of counts for 1, 2, and 3, the options for accessing the internet. The next step is to create a two-way table with my other categorical variable. So I can grab 10 and drop it into columns. Now I have a two-way table of counts for tenure, which is across the columns 1, 2, 3, and 4, and accessing the internet, which is across the rows. Now the next thing I should do is I should change these assignments 1, 2, and 3 to what they actually are in the data dictionary. The easiest way to do that is to come over to my variable and notice that when I use that little drop down, I see this little aliases button. I can click that and up comes what 1, 2, and 3 are and what they're currently valued as, 1, 2, and 3. I can change them to what they are in the data dictionary by highlighting them and looking at the data dictionary to see what they represent. The first one represents, yes, they have internet and they're paying for it. The second one is, yes, they have internet, but no, not paying for it. And the third is they have no access to the internet. And the last one is null. And we're actually going to delete that once we get through to the next step. So I'm going to press OK. Now I notice my table has added these different variable names, and it makes it a lot easier to understand what I'm looking at. I'm going to do the same thing for the tenure variable. Clicking on the downward arrow, I can again select aliases and rename each one of these options based upon what I see in the data dictionary. Once I've added in all the names, I can press OK. Now they've updated in my table. The last step is I can highlight the null option by right-clicking and click Exclude. Now I have a beautiful table of counts. The next step is to make this a conditional table. So to do that, I can go down here to this count and do a quick table calculation. The first step is to do a percent of total. Now, this makes a percentage out of the entire total, but this isn't exactly what I want. I actually want a conditional distribution based upon the tenure. So I'm going to click this again, and this time do Edit Table Calculation and do Table Down. Now check out the columns of your table. They should all sum to 100% for each column. I can click X and get out of this. Now I can go over to Show Me, where I can select the plots that are available to me. Right now I have a table, but I want a conditional or stacked bar chart. I'm going to select that, and now I can see that I have a chart of values. If I remove the Show Me value, I can see that I also have a legend based upon the colorization for the different accessing the internet options. I can also stretch this out if I want to, or instead of having standard, I can do fit entire view, and it'll stretch out my plot so it's easy to see. Now, I can remove this variable up here so it looks a little bit cleaner. And I can add a chart title by double-clicking, and it'll allow me to edit the chart title. Once I've added in the title, press Apply, and I can see how it looks overall, and OK. Now I've created the stacked conditional bar chart. The next step is to create the side-by-side bar chart. Just so I don't delete this chart, I want to keep it, I'm going to duplicate this sheet. So I can duplicate the sheet, and it'll create another copy of the same plot. Notice I can go in between the two sheets, and they're exactly the same. That way I can change this plot from the stacked conditional chart to the side-by-side chart. Now, if I click the side-by-side bar chart, it shows up like this. And this is almost right, but not quite. Notice that the colorization is based upon tenure instead of based upon the accessing the internet. To change this, I can drag Access Internet down to the marks area and put it in as color. And I can delete the tenure one or remove it off of the marks area. Now this is almost what I want, but I notice that it's still out of order. I want, instead of it being based upon the internet access up here at the top, I want it to be the tenure options. This is a really easy fix. I can take tenure up at the front and just switch it with accessing the internet. Now I can see my conditional charts based upon the tenure status and the internet access down below. I can expand this so it includes the entire view and see how that changes my overall view of my plot. If I remove the Show Me area, I can also see my legend for the colorization of the accessing the internet variable. One thing that I can also do is down here, if I notice that we can't see all the labels, I can right-click and rotate the label. This will do it vertically, so I can then see all of my different variable names. Sometimes this is helpful, sometimes it's not. In this case, I like it. All right, and then the very last step is to remove some grid lines. So in order to do that, I can go up to Format. Under Format, I select Lines. Under Lines, I see grid lines, and I can select None. And notice that they all went away. Looking back at Sheet 1, I can do the same thing. I can go up to Format, under Lines, clicking None, and I have a great data ink ratio. Hopefully this video helped you better understand how to create a conditional side-by-side bar chart and stacked bar chart in Tableau for two categorical variables.